What up, everybody? Happy to be with you on this Monday afternoon. You are listening and watching to Dodgers Territory. We are your hosts. That is Clint Pasillas. I am Alanna Rizzo. Make sure you like us, subscribe, rate us 5 stars. Tell your friends about us on YouTube, of course. Tube in, as Clint likes to say. The Dodgers lead. Clint James Pasillas. Is that your middle name? James? Calvin?
Yes.
James, yeah.
Oh
It's
no, I should have
3.5.
never told you.
It's 3.5. Yeah, now you know you're in trouble when
Oh,
I say Clint James. 3.5 lead in the division as far as games are concerned. Are we pushing the panic button as of yet? Because as Fabian Ardaya says, the lead for the bye is just 2 games. The Milwaukee Brewers could pass them in the National League standings as far as home field advantage is concerned.
I don't know. It's a panic button, and what a panic button would do for this team, because the problem is you don't have starting pitching, and it got worse over the weekend since we were last on. So we'll talk about the Glasnow situation in just a little bit, but there's nothing you could panic about. It's go out there and win some freaking ball games. That's what this team needs to do. They control their own destiny. Looking at the roster and the health of that roster, very desperately they could use that bye, even though it hasn't worked very well for them over the last couple of years. But you could push a panic button. Again, I'll say it. What does it do for this team? You're not going to magically, a new pitcher isn't going to materialize.
No, it makes me feel better, though. I'm panicking at this point. I mean, I've said this all along. We don't have enough starting pitching, and now it's gotten even worse. Dave Vassay saying that Dave Roberts just told us Tyler Glasnow's season is likely over. Glasnow has a sprained elbow. And what's even more concerning, Clint, than the sprained elbow is the fact that Dave Roberts didn't know where Tyler Glasnow went. He got on a plane. He left. He's not with the team. There were also reports, obviously, that his name placard was, taken off of the locker. Bill Plunkett reporting that as well. That's weird to me. Is it not?
It's very weird. I mean, I think there's some, I wouldn't call it creative verbiage here in the tweets. We could read a lot more when you're just reading, 100 or 200 characters or whatever the hell it is. I'm sure there's a little more nuance to it, but still, on paper, it looks bad. It's not a good visual for a guy that, this team committed a lot of money to him, and he didn't have the best track record before coming here. Tyler Glasnow talked a lot about his innings count and injury history and all this kind of stuff. So to see him kind of avoid, I can understand somebody also wanting to not talk about it. I'm sure he is frustrated as all hell. He played a lot of his time in Tampa Bay with like that elbow injury, thought he had it fixed. We don't really know exactly what's going on with this elbow injury. Dave, I think, said that the UCL is reportedly fine, so we don't know if it's a forearm or whatever it is, and I'm sure Glasnow just kind of wants to take his time to go be Anthony Banda and punch a wall and be upset and whatever. But still, it's not a good look to leave your team in the middle of a roadie. And now it just adds more fuel to the fire where we get to talk about stuff like this when we'd rather be talking about, oh yeah, he's there. He's maybe healthy, maybe coming back, or he's done for the year. What's going on?
You don't get that pass. If you're Tyler Glasnow and you're given a massive contract to come to the Los Angeles Dodgers or any team, I don't care if you're, pitching for the Beloit Snappers. If you get a contract, if you want to be lauded and praised when you're doing things well, you have a responsibility as a member of this team. Number one, not to leave your team in the middle of a road trip. Again, maybe that was discussed. I don't know. But number two, you have to post and ask questions. I've said this time and time again. I just don't like the fact that he didn't answer questions and address his responsibilities with the media. Justin Turner could go 0 for 5 or 5 for 5. Justin Turner was there every single day to post at his locker, to take the questions, to deal with the stupidity in terms of questions, to deal with the criticism, to deal with all of it. But he was there answering questions. And that to me is what Tyler Glasnow, if you want to be a leader on this team, if you want to be an integral part of this starting rotation, I get that you're frustrated. No doubt. No doubt. Right now, if our starting rotation is Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Jack Flaherty, Walker Buehler, who looked good yesterday or this weekend, Bobby Miller and Landon Knack, really? That's what we're doing?
It's not. This is the box of scraps that Tony Stark made his Iron Man suit out of in a cave. That's for everybody who likes the MCU. But anyway, it's not a good situation, and it's the same situation this team has found itself in the last couple of years. You kind of keep waiting and hoping that some of these injured dudes are going to come back at the very end of September, and hope everything gels into this perfect snowball of winning a World Series or something like that. But it doesn't work. This plan does not work, especially does not work for the Dodgers. They are not the only team, of course, but that's what we talk about. It does not work. They need, but I don't know what you do. What do? Do you go get another ace? I mean, does a team try to sign Blake Snell this offseason? We got plenty of that to talk about, come wintertime. But back on Glasnow, it's just not a good look. And for somebody who wants to be an ace or viewed as an ace, like, dude, you have not earned enough credit to be able to tell media like, oh yeah, I'll talk to you later, and then hide and run away, and then hop a plane out of town.
It drives me nuts. I hate the lack of accountability. And again, I was not privy to the conversations that he was having with his training staff, or perhaps the front office brass. But if your own manager says that he got on a plane and he doesn't know where he went, I mean, that's problematic to me. And again, this was not a rental. This was not a 1-year signing. This was a multi-year contract. So what does that do moving forward in terms of how the team views him? I don't know. Maybe there were conversations, but from the outside looking in, if the guy is upset about being shut down for the season, he's upset about the injury, and then he leaves, that doesn't bode well for supporting your teammates the rest of the way. And not for nothing, is there some sort of responsibility or blame to be made for taking a risk on a guy that has had a lot of injury issues in the past and has not been able to compete an entire year? I mean, is it too much of a risk? Does Andrew Friedman take a little bit to blame here? I mean, he's known Tyler Glasnow for a long time.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is every bit of an Andrew Friedman move. He shops for people that are, coming towards the end of their contract, that they can extend or maybe find a team friendly deal. It's not so much of a basement, or what do they call it, bottom dollar, the dollar store edition, because Tyler Glasnow does. We saw it when he's healthy. He's good. He does add a lot to a rotation, but you can't fault Andrew Friedman for going out. And it's not like Tyler Glasnow is the one guy getting injured. Every pitcher in baseball is getting injured. So you have to credit the front office for trying to do its best without blowing up the farm system. I don't know who else you go out and get. They've been in play on every big free agent. They'll try to go out and make a trade for the best guys available. This year they happened to land one with Jack Flaherty, but no, this is it's not I mean, everything is a risk in baseball. It's a risk. We know this, but I don't think the front office deserves blame for Glasnow falling apart, which is what he kind of always does.
Yeah, and by the way, there's nothing at the dollar store that's actually $1. Just so you know. Just want you to know that I go in there all the time. Nothing's $1. It's really false advertising. It's annoying. We've had a lot of bad luck with pitching prospects that have had to come up probably sooner than they were supposed to, just because of injuries to veteran guys, and we've had a ton of injuries. I don't remember a season, Clint, where we've had this, particularly to a starting staff.
Yeah, this has been an extremely painful season. It started right away in spring training, the loss of Emmett Sheehan, and that sort of started that. I'm going to go with the Avalanche again, or whatever the hell I said, but it's been painful with losing him, May's esophagus, at this point in the season, relying on Landon Knack, Bobby Miller not being good, but both those guys have been mostly healthy. Kyle hurt, Nick Frasso with the shoulder injury. The list just keeps going on and on. And if I had more of them in front of me, I would list more of them. But
River Ryan,
that I will argue that is the most devastating loss for this team, because that kid was set to do some important stuff for this organization in the postseason, and now they're hurting. We're all hurting.
All right. Well, Juan Toribio does a tremendous job covering the Los Angeles Dodgers for MLB.com, and he actually knows Tyler Glasnow very well from both of their times with the Tampa Bay Rays. We're going to talk to Juan momentarily, but before that, let's hear a word from AJ Pierzynski, Eric Kratz, and Scott Braun.
Snoring sucks. So does congestion from sinuses, allergies, or a cold. and you might not even realize how much it's affecting you. FT fam, you need to try Navage Nasal Care. It's been a game changer for me.
Yeah, Kratz, Navage uses that smooth saline flow and nasal suction to clear those nasal passages.
Now I'm breathing easier, which is a pretty big deal in my life. My Navage unit is clearing my congestion fast day and night. I use it twice per day as part of my daily routine. We want to help you get relief from your congestion too. Our listeners can order a convenient Navage starter pack, including a nose cleaner with batteries included and 30 original salt pods. Everything you need to get started. Plus, get a cleaning kit as a free gift with your order, but only going to our exclusive URL, navage.com/foul, and using our promo code FOUL. Again, to order your Navage free cleaning kit and for full product details, go to navage.com/foul. That's promo code FOUL at navage.com/foul.
Time now for Behind the Seams, where we dig a little bit deeper. Juan Toribio does a tremendous job covering the Los Angeles Dodgers for MLB.com, but prior to his time in Los Angeles, he did a great job covering the Tampa Bay Rays. There's nobody that knows Tyler Glasnow better than Juan, so we're going to start there. Thanks for being with us. You know him well. This personality is something that I'm trying to learn more about, but what is your takeaway from Dave Roberts saying that, in fact, he did get on the plane, but he's not sure where he is, and kind of leaving the team in the middle of a road trip?
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty unusual scene here at Truist Park. Obviously, on Friday, we're waiting for him to throw a simulated game. He's warming up in the bullpen, and he just waves off the hitters. Obviously, he felt some discomfort in his elbow. So that was on Friday. On Saturday, we get news that he's out for the season. A couple of us go up to him in the clubhouse after the game, and he said he didn't want to talk. And then on Sunday, he was gone. Obviously, I think people need to understand also he's somebody who's dealt with elbow injuries his whole career. At least he thought he was finally over all those issues. So, he's really disappointed. I mean, I think that's the human nature part of it. I think none of us like the fact that he just disappeared and didn't want to talk. But at the same time, I can kind of understand it given what he's kind of been through. He thought he was over it, and clearly not.
Do you guys have any sort of, anything else that you know about this elbow situation? I know Doc said it's not the UCL, so what else could be going on in there if you know anything?
Yeah, we don't really know much right now. Obviously that's why we would have liked to talk to him.
Yeah.
Obviously the Dodgers aren't going to give us the whole scan, right? Like they're not going to open up the books and tell us exactly what's wrong with him. So hearing it from him would have been helpful. But it's clearly something that's kept him out for a month and it's going to keep him out for longer. We don't really know if anything's going to have to be done in the off season. That's going to be pretty telling about how serious this was. But at the same time, pitchers have have things going on in their elbows all the time. So we don't really know exactly what it is, but it's clearly something that's been bothering him for at least a month now.
All right. Well, we saw also over the weekend the big news with Shohei Ohtani. Oh, man, he could be pitching. He could be the savior of this organization in October. Tough ramp up, tough everything about the whole idea of Shohei pitching. People feel one way or the other. What is your sense of Shohei Ohtani potentially being a usable weapon for this team out of the bullpen in October?
Yeah, I think we're going to find out a lot here over the next 2 weeks. I asked Dave, I was like, so is this guy's just going to throw a bullpen before game 2 of the NLDS? We've never seen anything like this, right? Like, is he just going to do that? Because I think that would be kind of insane. So I think, Dave basically said, yeah, we're just going to see what happens. So if they shut him down from throwing pens and playing catch and all that stuff, then the chances of him pitching are done. But if he keeps doing that, it's also kind of like, why not, right? Like he's on the roster. He doesn't count toward your pitcher limit. He could do it if he signs up to do it, then sure, I can see him coming out of the pen for an inning or two. But if you ask me about the reality, I think it's a pretty slim chance that we see him pitching in October. I mean, I think I would be pretty surprised. But if it's the World Series and they need an arm for an inning or two, then why not? But I think, like I said, we're going to find out a lot here over the next 2 weeks to see if they shut him down from throwing for the rest of the year or if he continues to do so.
Why not? You spent 700 million on him. That's why not. I wouldn't want to risk him for 2025. Let me ask you this one. Walker Buehler, as it stands right now, would be the number 3 starter in a postseason series. Have you seen enough from him to make you feel confident in that choice?
Yes and no. I mean, it's been a weird season for Walker. Obviously, he's coming back from the second Tommy John. I mean, if you remember a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, he left the team. He just went to Florida, and nobody knew exactly where he was or what he was doing or why he went to Florida. And now he's kind of like the third best guy in the rotation. So things change fast, especially when your stars are dropping like flies, like they are with the Dodgers right now. 2 weeks ago, he was talking about, I hope I can get a chance in the playoffs. We have so many talented guys. And now they don't really have a choice. I mean, whether I think that he's the right choice or not, they just don't have anybody else. And I think the one thing that Walker does have going for him is, he's done this. He loves the playoffs. He loves being on that stage. He's a confident, cocky guy. And I think that's what you need in the playoffs. We kind of saw that yesterday. He's staring down hitters as he's striking them out. So I think in terms of attitude, he's definitely a pretty good choice. But he also has a 5.5 ERA this season. So it's just kind of, but this is the reality of where the Dodgers are right now. I would bet that Walker Buehler would kind of get up for a playoff game. So that's kind of what they have right now.
Yeah, you bet on the character with Walker Buehler, and it seems like when he gets angry, he has that little extra gear. That's what really motivates him, and when you're seeing him do well in the starts. But still, Dodgers would rather not see him right now be their Game 3 starter. This is the reality we're dealing with. Game 4 also kind of extremely up in the air. We've seen good, we've seen bad out of Landon Knack. We know Tony Gonsolin's coming. What happens if they need a Game 4 starter? What's kind of in play there? A Jack Flaherty short start or bullpen game? Do you have any idea what the think tank is sort of coming up with right now?
Yeah, there's going to be some praying involved in Jack. I mean, if Kershaw comes back, he can kind of give you anything. You'll take that. But right now, there's really just no real option for the team. And it's hard because you're going to use the bullpen a lot in games 1, 2, and 3. You're going to have the off day between 2 and 3, but it's not going to be easy. So you're gonna use a 5, 6 relievers a day, and then you're gonna go to a bullpen game in Game 4. So it's not an ideal situation. The one thing the Dodgers do have going for them is they have like 5 or 6 relievers that they really trust right now. They have Michael Kopech, who's been a great addition since they got him from the White Sox. They have Evan Phillips. They have Bruce Gradero, Blake Trinan, Daniel Hudson, Alex Vesia. They had Anthony Banda, but he decided to punch something like a solid object. But I think they have plenty of options. Ryan Brazier's another guy. They have plenty of options in the bullpen. But it's not going to be easy. I mean, they had to do this for a month. I think like that's something that people need to remember is this team's not built to win one playoff series, right? Like you have to win one to move on, but they're built to win the World Series. And can they do it for a month? I think that's going to be the real question. They keep saying the right things. They keep doing the right things. And it could happen, right? Like the playoffs, you never know what's going to happen, but they're going to have to show it on the field.
Well, and I think the intention was to build a World Series team. That was the blueprint. I don't know if this team has enough starting pitching to get the job done. Do you have any updates on Clayton Kershaw and Gavin Stone as far as their return realistically?
Yeah, Kershaw's just kind of he's keeping his arm loose, which is good, but he can't get off a mound yet because of the toe is still bothering him. Gavin Stone's going to have a pretty big catch session here in Miami over the next couple of days. We'll kind of see how that goes, but that's a shoulder injury. And kind of like you mentioned with Ohtani, he's a big part of the future. So is Gavin Stone. We talk about Tyler Glasnow going down, and I think Gavin Stone going down is just as big, given the consistency that he gave to the starting rotation all season long. So if they can get him back, that'd be great. I'm a little, skeptical given the fact that it is a shoulder injury, and they're not going to risk him, to get 2 or 3 innings out of him if he's not 100%. I think they're gonna think long term of him.
So another guy we haven't mentioned too much, Bobby Miller. He is one of the healthy dudes around, but the ERA is also very healthy if you're looking at other people taking advantage of him. Is Bobby Miller a factor for this team in October?
I mean, it might be one of those situations again that you just might not have a choice. Like you said, I mean, the performance aspect of it. This is a guy who got sent down 2 months ago. He was really good last season. I mean, he was probably the best starter if we really, go from start to finish. He had a bad game too. But yeah, this is a guy who struggled this year. There's no denying that. He knows that he's after his last start. He said, "I'm going through it right now. I don't. I'm trying really hard. I'm preparing the right way. I'm just not getting the results that I want." Now, if he has two solid starts here coming up, like maybe he could be an option. He also throws 100, right? So if you can use him for an inning or two out of the bullpen, you could do that. They're gonna have to get creative with whatever they end up doing in that game 4, 5, whatever well, 5 will be flurry, but like game 4, moving forward. And he could be in the mix. I think everyone's in the mix right now. Tony Gonson is in the mix, and he hasn't pitched all season long. And he got kind of lit up in AAA yesterday. So but everything's on the table given the fact that it is, it's kind of desperation at this point. And you're trying to do whatever you can to maximize this window when you have Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, and Freddie Freeman at the top of your lineup. So they're gonna do whatever it takes to get there. Now it's just a matter of can they get it done or not.
We're talking with Juan Toribio of MLB.com regarding the Los Angeles Dodgers. Let me ask you this, Juan. The postseason starts 2 weeks from tomorrow. If the postseason were to start today, who is the biggest threat in the National League to the Dodgers?
You probably have to give it to the Phillies, given the fact that they have all those things that the Dodgers kind of don't have right now. Right, like game 1, we know who their game 1 starter is. That would be Zach Wheeler. We know who their game 2 starter is. We know who their game 3 starter is. I mean, we might even know who their game 4 starter is, right? Like they have all those things. They have a really deep bullpen. I think the Dodgers have a better lineup than the Phillies do, but the Phillies have Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, and those guys. So that's a pretty deep team. And Milwaukee, I think at some point you're gonna have to give them credit, right? Like you can say they play in a weak division. You can say they don't have the star power that some of these other teams have, but they also have the best run differential in baseball right now. So at some point, maybe they are just for real. I mean, we just have to kind of accept the fact that the Brewers have a pretty good team. So it's going to be hard. And I do think if the Dodgers end up with that 1 seed, getting that 4-5 matchup between San Diego and Arizona, it's not going to be pretty easy. So maybe falling down to the 2 seed isn't the worst thing for the Dodgers this year. So they can avoid playing a division opponent for once. But there's a lot of good teams in the National League, and they're all playing good at the right time. And now it's time for the Dodgers to kind of step up in that direction.
Yeah, the Brewers are doing it without Corbin Burns, without Brandon Woodruff for a big part of it, without Devin Williams for most of the season, and without Christian Yelich. So they are certainly a threat. Juan Toribio, thank you so much for your insight. We appreciate it, and enjoy game 4 of that 4-game set in Atlanta.
For sure, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, time now for Last Licks. All right, so some good news. So Beverly is the latest to get adopted, so that is great. Out of Boogie's 7 puppies, Clint, 4 of them have found forever homes. There are 2 more in California that need your help. That is Penny on the left in the red harness. That is Priya on the right in the yellow harness. These are 2 babies that are located in Landers, California right now. They're 4 months old, fully vaccinated, microchipped. They're learning potty and leash training. They're super, super sweet, super playful as well. They are available in California, and their sister Bernadette is available in Arizona. So please spread the word, GidriesGuardian.org for more information. All right, baseball thought for the road, Clint, as we talk about this. Does the schedule play to the advantage? Give them time to figure things out. The reason I ask this is after they close out tonight against the Braves, 9 of their final 12 are against teams with 2nd and 3rd worst records in baseball. The Marlins and the Rockies. Take advantage of the schedule, right?
Yeah, but also the Rockies tend to get it up playing against the Dodgers in those last 3. I'm praying the Dodgers have at least that 2 seed clinched for that final series in Colorado, so they don't need to send any important pitcher to Colorado, because somebody could send that place straight to the moon, straight to hell, straight to wherever. I hate Dodgers pitchers in Colorado. But yes, the schedule is in their favor. You don't know if they can take advantage of that as well as other teams can sometimes. They tend to play down to the competition, or at least that's kind of what it feels like. Still, that said, to the question, yeah, let the schedule help you out. I think the Padres have a tougher schedule. I think the Diamondbacks have a tougher schedule if you're looking at the NL West. So the Dodgers can, I guess, I don't want to say can just fall into the playoffs, but if we're talking about hitting that panic button, they don't need to panic too deeply. Try not to, or too crazy or whatever. Just try not to get yourself hurt, I guess, is what we're saying. Maybe play with a little bubble wrap on.
Yeah, you and Juan bring up a good point. Maybe the 2 seed isn't the worst thing in the world that could happen to the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Mets have a really rough schedule too, and it's even worse with Francisco Lindor with the MRI. So we'll see what happens with the Mets as they try to work their way into the postseason as well. What is coming up on All Dodgers with Clint Pasillas?
Probably crying, a little bit of crying. Hopefully the boys can.
I thought you weren't panicking. I thought you weren't panicking yet.
Well, I mean, you could still feel terrible about watching, what we're watching, but it is a Yamamoto start tonight, so that should be a fun sight for everybody, unless more bad things happen. But we're going to talk about it on All Dodgers with me, Clint Pasillas, post game show. Myself, producer Kevin will be joining, and then we're also going to get really, really possibly dumb creative with this starting rotation and the options with the starting rotation. I'm bringing up one name from the minor leagues that nobody is talking about yet. So tube in to find out how dumb I am.
Wow, that is quite the tease. Listen to All Dodgers with Clint Pasillas. You can tube in, tell your friends, bring a friend, rate us 5 stars here too as well on Dodgers territory. Clint and I will be back with you on Thursday afternoon. We appreciate you watching. Go Dodgers.
Bye.